Chenin Blanc, I mean, I'm very excited by Chenin in South Africa. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here. Tell me your thoughts.
Most definitely. I think that what we're starting to see now is that people actually try to find out what soil type the Chenin is grown on, the exact flavor that it impasses, and whether they use it and put different terroirs together, or whether they just make it from a single terroir. I think that at least that they say what they're doing and they understand where the flavors from. So for me, what's exciting is that we're actually starting to understand what soil types work, what doesn't work, and we're starting to show the soil type and the direct relevance to the flavor it comes from across the regions, whatever region it comes from.
So you think the key is the soil type? And
absolutely. I've always been an advocate of that. Is that, you know, if you look at what really makes a difference at the end of the day, I can group soil types even if they're from different areas. If you take granite soil from Malmesbury or granite soils from Paarl or granite soils from Stellenbosch, they definitely have a correlation and a link. So I think that definitely soil types is the way to go in terms of determining the style that you make and also the terroir-driven effects on the wine.
So one of the things that confuses me is that, you know, when I look at Chenin, I mean, it comes in lots of different styles and variety types of wines. Is the fact that the ward of origin or the region on the label isn't always a reliable cue as to exactly what you're going to get into the bottle.
I think that what have happened is our industry has developed so much over the last 20 years, yet our wine of origin system has pretty much stayed static. So we can't rely on our wine of origin system to actually describe the style or the terroir that the Chenin comes from. So although it's sorted up and it's all in wards and district, that's not necessarily a reflection of your what you're actually putting in the bottle. So we need to refine it and we need to really look at our wine of origin system to catch up with what's actually happening in our industry in terms of terroir-driven wines.
So in terms of indicating to consumers what they're going to get with a Chenin, is there a way to do that?
What we're working on as a Chenin Blanc Association is to start indicate the style of Chenin Blanc, having an instrument on the bottle that will give you an idea whether you're drinking a fresh and fruity or a rich and ripe or sweet or dry. We haven't got that. We're busy with research, University of Stellenbosch, that we're doing that. Of course, when you want to implement something like that, you want to look at it in 10 years' time and say, you know, it worked and it was sustainable. So we haven't got the exact sort of to a T and what it must look like and what it's going to be like, but we're definitely working on it.
Do you make much Chenin Blanc?
We make a lot of Chenin Blanc, and quite a few styles as well that we produce.
And the thing I've noticed with Chenin is very flexible in terms of the styles of wines it can produce. Is that something you'd agree with?
It is. Sometimes it's downfall. You know, Chenin is known in South Africa you can do a bit of everything with it, and I feel sometimes Chenin gets abused because of that. Chenin can make great wines. It's very easy drinking wine, but it can make really great wines with real sort of finesse as well. And I think that's maybe the road in future. That's something that we want to do more.
And do you think it works well in blends?
It's fantastic in blends, especially I think in South Africa, and it's something. If you look in South Africa, there's already a big movement to that side, and it's the heart of a lot of blends in the Swartland area. Even with us in Stellenbosch, ourselves with the Circle of Life, Sauvignon and Chenin, but Chenin definitely plays a huge role in that kind of blend. And it's a wine that brings a lot of texture. It's a wine that can evolve in the bottle as well, and that brings sort of nice complexity to a blend.
Is Chenin a grape that can transmit terroir characteristics, or do you think winemaking sometimes overrides those terroir characteristics?
I think Chenin, as in any varietal, can transmit terroir, but it's the responsibility of the winemaker to allow that to happen. At the moment, it's very much driven by sort of winemaking principles, more so than allowing the terroir to come through. We use different yeast that produces more character, lots of oak, and all of those kind of things. And I think that takes away from the terroir. But certainly Chenin can produce a terroir-driven wine. I think it is possible,
So Adam, you're making some Chenin now. You're a Mulderbosch. Is that something you're interested in?
Okay, Jamie. As I was saying to you a little earlier, I mean, Chenin is a variety that I've always gravitated towards. I think it's one of those varieties that South Africa has such a great opportunity to really get behind as a nation, as a country, and we can make it so much more as a part of our story. And being at Mulderbosch is just such a great opportunity because we have access to so many amazing Chenin vineyards right across the Western Cape, and it's almost like we are working with these sort of project lots every vintage. So it's a great opportunity to really understand and learn more about Chenin Blanc. And there's a great expectation. Chenin is one of Mulderbosch's sort of signature varieties. We're very well known for it. So I'm thrilled to be a part of that story and thrilled to kind of learn more about Chenin and be a part of the Chenin kind of crew really in South Africa.
So are you going to make some single terroir Chenins then? Is that the plan?
You know, having been to the Chenin conference yesterday or 2 days ago, and having listened to what everyone was talking about, we've got some great ideas for some not at all gimmicky, but very kind of important trials that we're going to run with respect to different soil types. And we should have some interesting wines to show in the next sort of 12 months to 24 months, which will, I think, add a lot of interest to the Chenin debate and help us to really define where we go forward with Chenin Blanc in this country. So, yeah.
Chenin's, I find it confusing because there's so many different styles, and some of them seem to be winemaking styles rather than terroir styles.
Okay, well, this is exactly where I'd like to go. So without giving away too much, what we plan to do is really work out what it is, which style is the style that we should be going for, and where we can consistently grow grapes to achieve that style. So as you say, they're not winemaker styles masked by sugar and made to a style for a market, but kind of styles with integrity, which really showcase either soil type or correctly defined geographical units where Chenin Blanc ought to be grown in order to best express its intrinsic kind of qualities. So that's what we're going to try to do.
Excellent.
Where do we start? Look, Chenin's a fantastic grape. I think where it's working in South Africa is that we have a lot of old, rich vineyard history that's come back, and it's these are the vines that have left. They were made for distilling KWV days, and luckily we left with this grape that has adapted well to our climate. It's a grape that in theory shouldn't work. You've taken it out of the Loire, which is its spiritual home, and when you bring it back, when you come to South Africa, it works. It's like a Haasleveloo, it's a chameleon. It can change its colours. Put it in a different rock, it changes those colours.
So at the farm in Lammershire, you've got some quite old Chenin.
Yeah, we've got averaging about between 45 to 55 years of age Chenin. It's all dry land.
What would they have originally been planted for? High production?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it was quite a neutral kind of wine for distilling. That's so I've heard. It went into the craft days, KWV days, and for distilling high production. It gave a neutral acidity, but now it grows very well in our climate. It's adapted to the dry, harsh terroir that is.
And is vine age important?
Oh, of course. It's very important.
What do you get from the old vines you don't get from the young ones?
Well, what you get is you get a history. It's something you can't put your finger on, but there's a definite, when you taste the younger Chenin and you taste the older Chenin, there's something, when it's made by the same person, there is a difference. No two guys, two different people will interpret the same grape differently. But if, for instance, I make a wine from a young vineyard and an old vineyard, it has more depth, more length, and it's just more everything, more focus. Yeah.
So with your own wines, you've been working a bit with skin contact.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, this just shows you the versatility of the grape. I'm making this year, there's a sweet, a straw wine, a dry, and a natural pétillant, which I'll release end of the year, and then the skin contact. So it's 4 different styles, and it grabs hold of each individual characteristic that grape can give. But Chenin interprets skin contact like no other grape I've seen yet from South Africa. I've done some experiments with Chardonnay and stuff from old vines. It's not the same. But Chenin has this natural golden skin. I think that's where you need to find the balance between the skin and obviously natural acidity, high acidity. Yeah. Chenin,
I guess in some ways it's a strength of Chenin, but maybe also a complexing factor is the fact that it can produce such a wide variety of wines. Would you say it's true?
Indeed, I think the Achilles heel of Chenin Blanc, but also its greatest benefit is that it's so versatile that you can make a bubbly from it, but you can also make a nobilate harvest from anything in between. I mean, you can even use it for port and distill it for brandy. So I think that where you find something like Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is much more narrower in terms of style. I mean, you know it's going to be dry. You know you're going to get that pyrrhicine and there's kind of flavors, green flavors from Sauvignon Blanc. So when you look at Sauvignon Blanc, it's much easier to define the style. Where if you look at Chenin Blanc, you can get anything from bubbly to nobilate. So it's a more difficult one, but it doesn't mean that we can't achieve it. We must just find the right way and also look at what we really produce a lot of. And I think at this stage, the idea is that most people now make the Chenin Blancs dry, is to differentiate between that where we say fresh and fruity on the one side, rich and ripe on the other side, and everything in between.
Because South Africa's got a good slice of the world's planting of Chenin.
In fact, Jamie, we've got 53% of the world's total plantings, and that's probably going to increase. Nobody really is planting Chenin Blanc with great volume, and South Africa is actually starting to plant Chenin Blanc again. There's people that's planting Chenin Blanc, obviously to get the newer clones that's available now, because our older clones were mostly based on volume production. So I've definitely planted some of the newer clones, and although they're still very young vineyards, they're starting to show beautiful quality.
Brilliant, brilliant. So South Africa could very much own Chenin Blanc as it says.
And Loire, we know they've been grown for 100 years, but they never went out and claimed it. They used Region Vouvray Sauvignon. So we have a great opportunity to take Chenin Blanc and say, this is what Chenin Blanc should taste like from South Africa. This is what Chenin Blanc is. So we have the opportunity to go and show the world what Chenin Blanc should taste like.